So, hello there people, welcome back to a new tutorial. My name is Raymond Brugman and today we'll create a basic chain rig in Maya using joints, a hair system and the Nike spline and the curve. So let's just start by making a chain. Now let's just start by increasing the working units to meter. And let's just say we'll want to create a chain of 1 meter long. We'll give it 6 and 6 segments. And we'll make it 3 centimeters. And let's just say the section radius is about 1 millimeter. And let's just rotate it 30 degrees. As you can see, I have my discrete rotate on with a step size of 15 degrees. Now we'll want to snap this object to the grid by pressing X and going into vertex mode and making the first link. By now you want to freeze your transformations and delete all the history. Then what we'll do is duplicate the chain, like so, and press the Shift D to duplicate its transform. And for the sake of this tutorial, I'll keep it short, otherwise we'll be rigging all day. Now what we want to do is go to the animation menu under F2 and press the joint tool under skeleton. Reset the tool and just snap to the top inside of the first chain by pressing V. And then just continue all the way down. And if you make a mistake, you can simply press backspace and you can redo your step. Like so, and let's create one more at the bottom. Now we have our basic bones or joints, and we might want to bring up the outliner and freeze all the transformations on the chain. Now what we want to do is hide all the polygon mesh from your viewport and go to curves and create an EP curve. And by pressing the V button you can snap to the pivot point of the bone and we'll create a curve along the entire way. Like so. We now have a curve. Let's turn off the grid and let's save our scene. Chain rig tutorial. Example 1. So we now have our curve and our joints. So let's just rig all the chains, bind all the chains I should say, to the corresponding joints. By selecting the joint and then the chain. You can also combine the entire chain into one mesh, but we won't do that now. And you can then use the bind skin smooth bind. If, for example, you have a rope you want to rig this way. But for a chain, rigid bind will work out better. So alright, let's select the joint and the chain. Go to rigid bind. Make sure color joint is on and select the joints. Basically, color joints will color the joints according to the hierarchy. So let's just rigid bind that. And you can very simply duplicate the last action by pressing G. So that might speed things up. And we'll want to do the same thing for our last joint. Like so. And you can see the mesh is nicely bound to the joints. And it'll bend accordingly. So that section is finished. Let's just create an anchor point for the chains to hang on. We can delete top faces. And we'll be going into vertex mode to straighten out the top. Let's just create a box. Like so. And we want to make sure the dimensions are the same. So let's just change this to about 25, 0.25 at 0.25. So it's pretty much even now. And let's just snap the top box to the grid as well. Perhaps scale it down a little. Like so. And let's just combine this. And as you can see, the pivot point has moved all the way down again. So we want to place that accordingly to what it should be. And we want to place it right there. Now let's move it up a little more. Freeze the transformations on it. And let's just duplicate it by pressing Shift D and then rotating it 180 degrees. Let's just give it another 90 degrees over there. like so. And now freeze the transformations and save this. This will be our backup. Now the difficult part begins, binding everything together into one rig. So we'll want to select the chain rig curve and go to here under F5, the dynamics menu. And make sure this one is turned on. And then just make curves dynamic. Like so. And what you'll see is it has basically created a hair system. But this one as dynamic hair. And this is basically our old backup. We won't be really needing that. And this is the hair system, which will be of importance. Since all the follicles, since all the properties of it will be controlled by this follicle, and this is the one we have to parent to the anchor point. I could rename that top anchor, bottom anchor, so right, what we want to do now is go to the animation menu and select the iKey Spline handle tool and make sure to configure it like this. Basically, these settings, and you want to press hold your shift button and select the upper joint, and then press the button joint with shift pressed as well. Then we'll bring up the outliner and with control select the output curve like so, and as you can see it has now created an iKey handle, and this basically completes our rig. What we now should do is parent this hair system. Well, wait, I want to show you a preview first. Let's just save this as chain rig tutorial example. Almost done. Oh, I love the crappy naming on that. So let's just preview this, and the only way to preview the hair system is in interactive playback mode under solvers in the dynamics menu. So we'll hit that. And as you can see, it's not doing too much right now. So we'll parent the hair system to the top anchor and select the curve, and under here create a constraint. Wait, that hasn't gone entirely according to plan. Right, as you can see, it's now being controlled by both ends, and that's not what we'll want to have. And I'm pressing the Ctrl Z to return to my original position, but you could of course also do this in the attribute editor by filling out everything with a 0. So right, we want to change the way it binds the hair. We want to set it to only bind to base. So we'll do that by going to the follicle node, hair system shape. No, it's over follicle shape. As you can see, point lock is turned on at both ends, and we'll want it to be only at the base. So if we press interactive playback now, you can see the chain moving around freely, and snap is turned on. I found it acting weird already. So this is basically a cool rig already on itself. You can do pretty much a whole lot with it. Animate octopuses or, I don't know, mechanical monsters. So that's basically the 1-point lock system. I'll show you how to return to its original position by pressing the stop button. Filling out 000, you can see the mesh is being relocated, and we'll just press the go to the first frame in our timeline, and you can see the chains are now being relocated to its original position. So now we want to create a constraint. So let's just select that this curve over here, and basically tell it to constrain with a stick. And you can see this tiny little object being made. That's basically our constraint point. And of course we want to move that all the way to the bottom anchor point. And we'll snap it just like the upper anchor point was constrained, like that. But of course we want to constraint to be moving along with the anchor point, so we'll parent this constraint to the bottom anchor, like so. And what you'll see now is a basic completed rig setup. So when I hit the interactive playback button, I can move around my chains freely, and they're being constrained between these 2 points. Very cool. So let's just play around with the dynamics a little. You can do this by going to the follicle node, and we'll just play around in it in real time. Let's just, no, we'll want to leave that at 1. I'm going to the hair system shape now, instead of follicle shape 1, and I'm going to increase its gravity. And I want to give it a little more mass. So that's pretty much basically the setup. Of course, there's a lot to play around with, so it's definitely worth having a go with it. And as you can see, you can nicely rotate the chains around. And there's one more thing we can do to make it a little more realistic. And now I've reached the end of the playback, so let's just return that. And let's put the rotate off. What we want to do also is give this here constraint more stiffness to it, so it tracks the chain a little better, like so. And of course, if you pull it too far, it'll just move away. But that's just something you have to keep in mind. So let's just tweak some more dynamics. This one is important as well. You can see it getting a way different vibe. It's getting more elastic. And there's somewhere a value which you can say to stretch or not. Can of course also just say 20,000, and then we'll tweak some more. Well, as you can see, there are a million possibilities. So that concludes my tutorial for today. It was a simple tutorial and a quick one, but I hope a very useful one. So till next time, bye bye.